Hey guys, welcome back to the series, Halftime Analyses. We've got Mr. Gormy today. Welcome, mate. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, my man.
Yeah, we're talking about his beloved Liverpool today. If you didn't catch out last week, we had Don on and Rangers. Another great episode. Thanks for coming on, Don. And yes, we've got Gormy on this week. So, uh, kick it off. How is your season going so far at Liverpool?
Uh Big time underachieving. That's kind of what everyone's hitting at, and I definitely agree. Because coming off the backs of the season where we almost won a quadruple, you definitely don't think that it would go how it is because it's very inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to be getting from the side week to week. There's times where we look great, and then there's times where we look like a side that has never played for Jurgen Klopp, which is unfortunate because everyone nowadays goes at the manager and that it's the manager's fault. Players are the ones out there performing, and they're the ones not doing their job currently. Um, with that said, we still can definitely finish in a European spot. It's just which competition. Which even then we're still in the Champions League. So if we
Yeah,
can find form, win the Champions League, then cool, season saved, and we still have Champions League football. But overall, with the season so far, it's very up and down. Everyone kind of has mixed emotions on the signings that we have made and signings that we need to make for sure. Uh,
yeah,
but one thing has definitely shown big time is that we definitely miss Sadio Mane. We definitely miss
yeah,
Sadio Mane.
yeah. It's massive
He
miss.
helped a lot in being able to take some focus off of Mo Salah because now everyone knows, okay, we take Mo out of the game, they can't really do all that much. Because there's times where Darwin Nunez looks incredible, and then times where he can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. So it's frustrating, but I'm looking at this as it's just this season because we'll make the signings and whatnot in the summer. I mean, they've already announced that Klopp's gonna have like a war chest to work with because they want to make sure that we get the signings that we do need, especially in the midfield. So it's definitely going to be interesting come the summer to see where we do choose to improve because the number one area we do need to improve is midfield because
Yeah, it's really poor, isn't it?
we've
Yeah.
we've looked really out of sorts, and we tried to offer Nebi Keita a contract and couldn't come to terms, so it looks like he's probably going to walk, unfortunately. Thiago, he's a phenomenal midfielder, and I'm not taking anything away from his ability, but he gets injured quite a bit. So that we
He's your
definitely
own.
need options.
He's he's the only midfielder you've signed in 5 years, is it?
Besides
Tiago.
the Arthur loan,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I guess you can say because of where we have played him, Fabio
yeah,
Carvalho and Harvey Elliott.
yeah, yeah,
So it's yeah, we definitely need to improve there. But overall, so far for the season, definitely underachieving. But there is still time to save it in some way, shape, or form.
yeah,
So
yeah.
only time will tell.
On your signings, you signed Darwin Nunes from Benfica for 85 million. Fabio Carvalho from Fulham for 7.7 million. Had a really good season in the Championship last season.
Mm-hmm.
Ramsey from Aberdeen for 6.5 million. Arthur on loan from Juventus, and Cody Gakpo this January from PSV.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you want to go through his signings? Give me a hit, a miss, and why?
My miss, and it's not really because he has not been able to perform. It's Arthur because it's a loan signing, gets injured, and we aren't really going to be able to use him. So that is the one I would have much rather had a midfield signing permanently
Yeah,
for the long term than just putting a band-aid on a flesh wound because that is most definitely what it has become in the midfield.
Yeah.
But my hit, I would probably say Cody Gakpo because I don't think anyone saw that coming. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone saw that coming, and like he hasn't gotten to play all that much because we just brought him in. But I mean, with what he is going to be able to do in our depth up front now,
Yeah.
crazy, crazy good. Because I mean, I guess how they're looking at it is okay. Being that we lost Sadio, we're going to lose Mo eventually, so let's start going younger up front because Bobby Firmino already has interest from elsewhere. So if we lose him and we eventually lose Mo, we're gonna have that young front three.
Do you
No
think?
matter who we're gonna be playing. So
Do you think if Liverpool don't qualify for the Champions League this year, do you think Mo is gone?
I think people look way too much into that. I
Yeah.
think because that question was posed to Steven Gerrard, I think it was yesterday, on do you think Bellingham doesn't come to Liverpool and chooses a Real Madrid or a Man City over them because you may not have Champions League football? And he straight up said, like, look at the stadium, look at the side, look at the history. Like, of course he would want to come here. Just because we don't have Champions League football for one season doesn't mean we're not going to have it the next. So, and also with not being in a European competition, say that doesn't happen and we continue on this downward trajectory this season, and we kind of just look to reload and go again next season, we won't have to play Champions League football. So players like Cody Gakpo and Darwin Nunez and everyone else can get games on games on games, whether it be in the league or in the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. And we could really focus on winning the league next season instead of having to worry about another competition. Which, I mean, yes, it's awesome playing in Europe. Every club wants to do that. But I don't think because of one season, a Mo Salah or a Trent Alexander Arnold would want to leave because we don't have it for one season.
Yeah.
I think people look way too much into that. And that's kind of an unrealistic way of looking at it. Because I mean, if that were true, being that you're a Man United fan, you guys would have lost Paul Pogba way before you actually did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of my way of looking at that.
That's pretty amusing me at the moment, the Pogba situation, but we won't get into
Yeah.
that. Next, we have your games. So, first game we're going to talk about was Manchester United 2, Liverpool 1. I think it was third game of the season. We just come off of two really bad results, and it's when we started to hit a bit of form and we really needed that result ourselves. And what did you think of that game?
I mean, you and I kind of talked about it a little bit before, but I mean, like you said, you guys definitely needed that result, and we weren't at the point we are now then. So looking back at that game, that
Yeah.
could definitely become like a major game because if we miss out on a European competition spot by 3 points, you could definitely look back at that game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm looking at that game as of right now. Probably come the end of the season as well. But I mean, it being that it was so early on, it was too early to tell how big of an impact it would have at that moment. But now we definitely can see.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Have you got anything else to add on that, or
No,
yeah?
we can move on to the next one.
Yep. Next, we had Liverpool 9, Bournemouth 0, something that's completely different
Yeah,
direction.
very, very early on as well, and I mean that shows that we still have it in us. It's just you can also look at that as Scott Parker was still at Bournemouth when that happened.
Yeah.
So and I mean, at that time, no one thought anything of Bournemouth. Now look at them. I don't think anyone thought that teams like them and Fulham would be doing what they are this year.
Mm.
So I mean, yes, that is a big win on the score sheet. But when you look at things in broader perspective, I mean, it's just why can't we turn up and do that more often?
Yeah, I did when
Because
I when I saw that result. You were just coming off some bad results, and I thought that
Mhm.
could have turned your season around when I saw that.
because that it was that game, and then when we trounced Rangers as well. So I mean, it's you. What, like I said, you need to perform more like that than just have those one-off type games. Because I mean, yeah, that's a massive result, a 9-0 win. But
Yeah,
when you have all these other inconsistent runs, what does that really mean in the end? Because I mean, it's like the inconsistencies have definitely been killing us. And if we can get more of that 9-0 win, and when we trounce strangers, sick, we'll be fine. But we aren't, and that
yeah,
goes back to the loss to Man U as well. Because I mean, yeah, 9-0 win against Bournemouth can definitely help us in the end, but what'll hurt us is a game that we could have won.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, personally, as a rival fan, I thought that game worried me. I saw it and I thought, could this be the turning point?
yeah, I mean, you would think it would be like a team realizing, okay, we need to turn things around. They go out and win 9-0. I'm sure plenty of fans around the league were like, okay, I think Liverpool might be back to
Yeah,
how they usually perform. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But I
yeah,
mean, we still have the Champions League, so we what would really annoy me as a Liverpool fan is if we do really well in the Champions League going for the rest of the season, and then we still have these inconsistencies in the league. That will
yeah,
be really frustrating. So if we can find that type of result and try and replicate it over and over and over again, then that'll be great. But I mean,
because you had
we got to get
the
on form first.
because you had the Milan game. Was it Milan? AC Milan in the Champions League as well. Was
No,
it AC Milan? You had
our group was Ajax, Napoli, Rangers, and us.
yeah. It was another good result.
Ajax honestly kind of worried me. Napoli looked phenomenal against us,
Yeah,
and that was one of those results that's like, okay, what's going on?
yeah.
But I mean, looking at Serie A right now, I mean, Napoli
Napoli are
did
on
that to
fire.
us
Yeah,
for a reason. So
yeah, they're on fire. Um, I really hope we can get a certain striker from them in the summer because we
wishful
need.
thinking, buddy, because they won 140 million.
Next, we had a very important game. A team that has been on form, just beat us 3-2 today. One hell of a game that was, but that was
Yes, it
3-2
was.
Arsenal 3, Liverpool 2. So, did you want to get into that game?
That's another game that not really like that Man U game where we can look back on it and be like, okay, we could have won that match or at least got a point to help us at the end. But I mean, Arsenal winning that game against us, that kind of just let everyone know this Arsenal team's not messing around anymore. And it really showed that Liverpool has problems. We
Yeah,
have problems. Because in years past, that's the opposite way around to where we're beating them a
yeah,
majority of the time. But I mean, like you said today, they beat you guys 3-2 as well. So I mean that Arsenal team is nothing to sneeze at. They are the real deal as of right now. Um, it'll be interesting to see how it is towards the end of the season. But
yeah. We're
um,
exactly halfway now, I believe. Yeah, exactly
yeah,
halfway through the league now. So, it'd be interesting if they can hold it up.
I'm
Uh,
hoping in the second match against Arsenal, against Man U, against Man City, we can get the results that we need.
yeah,
Because, well, like I said, that showed that we have weaknesses.
hmm,
Um, so hopefully we can fix them. But I mean, if you haven't been able to do any tweaking and you had as long of a break for a lot of the players that we did during the World Cup break and a little bit after that as well, that there are deeper seated problems than we see on the surface.
Yeah. And then, that goes into another result next. We had Liverpool 1, Man City 0. A Man City team we've just beat, and they don't. I don't think they're. I think Haaland affects their. I don't know. Obviously, Haaland's amazing, and he scored a
Yeah,
hat trick today.
he scored a hat trick today.
But I think they're relying on him too much.
When you have a player
And
like that, you tend to try and focus a lot of the play around him, and that's what Bayern Munich did with Lewandowski.
yeah,
But I
similar with
mean,
us with
when we
Ronaldo, we
beat
play better with
them,
him.
yeah,
Yeah,
when we beat them, I thought, okay, you beat a side that was just strolling right along like they were. You would think, okay, maybe that's a turning point for us because that is the, like, on paper, the best team in the league.
yeah,
And we beat them. Yes, it's only 1-0,
yeah,
but that's a massive 3 points for us, and that is a massive loss for them.
yeah,
Because I mean they are in the title race, and as of right now, we are not. Things can still definitely change. It's
yeah,
just basically we got to win the rest of the way.
yeah, yeah,
So it's that is a game that I was definitely happy with. It's just after that, then consistencies started happening again. So it's like you get those not really flashes of brilliance because we haven't had flashes of brilliance really this season, but those flashes of hope,
yeah.
and it just gets sucked away immediately.
I had that
So
last. I know you. I feel your pain. I had that last year.
yeah,
Win a couple of games. Oh, and then it's collapsing
yeah,
again.
yeah, exactly.
uh,
Because I mean, what one thing, like going back to last year, that I think has affected the Liverpool side this season is that we almost won a quadruple. We were
yeah,
very, very close to doing so,
yeah,
and it fell apart on the last day of the Premier League season. And
yeah,
when that happens, that really takes a toll on you. And you could tell in the Champions League final that it did.
yeah,
And then now you see it's like, okay, we played the most amount of games out of anyone last year.
yeah,
So maybe they're tired, but I don't want to use that excuse because the get some more rest your body more. You can easily fix that, but maybe that has taken way more of a toll than it should have. Because yes, being on the brink of an accomplishment like that is massive. I'm sure
yeah,
any of us would love to have opportunity at our side potentially doing that.
yeah,
But I mean, it's I think that has taken a massive effect on them mentally because I mean, physically you see them show up, but mentally half the time, I would say at least 5 of the players are not there mentally.
yeah,
So, which is
yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah, definitely. And next we had a team you can't praise them enough. Brighton 3, Liverpool 0. Brighton have been so good this year. They lost their manager. I think they've got even better since
They just sold
Graham.
Trossard.
Yeah, sold Trossard to Arsenal, um, and I think they've got even better since they got rid of Graham Potter went to Chelsea. And you could argue Chelsea have got worse with him than they were under Tuchel. So, um, yeah, what do you think of a 3-0 win for Brighton?
That was a sign of we have a long ways to go this season. Because I mean that is one of the most recent results that we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
And when I saw that, I was like, in that moment, I didn't know what to think because I mean, you hear me saying like, okay, yeah, we still potentially have a chance to get something out of this season, but you see that result, and it's like, damn, like damn in capital letters, damn, like
yeah,
it's that's why I'm saying if we perform really, really well throughout the rest of the season in the Champions League, but not in the league, and it's more of that beating a Man City and then losing to Brighton, which nothing to take away from Brighton. Brighton have phenomenal results constantly. I mean, they made Danny Welbeck a quality player again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it'll be really frustrating if that is how it goes, because on paper we should be beating teams like Brighton 3-0, but in reality it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So I mean, that they're definitely a team that digs in and wants it more than a lot of other sides, and
Yeah.
I think that
Before before we got going at the start, we lost 3-0 to them in our first two games before we really started going.
mhm,
Yeah, obviously they're my local team, and I can't
yeah,
give them enough praise on how good they're doing at the moment. Um,
but yeah, I mean, it's just it's you gotta win matches like that. And when you get embarrassed like that, you definitely then know it's like, okay, we aren't there
mm,
at the current moment. And that's why I said earlier, if we don't have Champions League football for a season, or just continental football for a season, that could be a blessing in disguise.
yeah,
Because yes, money wise, that'll help, and drawing players here, that'll help.
yeah.
But and I don't want to sound cocky when saying this. Liverpool is Liverpool, just like Man U is Man U, Man City is Man City, Arsenal is Arsenal. The name will draw
Oh
players
yeah,
to come play.
yeah,
So even if we don't have continental football, I would think Bellingham would still want to come.
yeah.
Um,
Do
so
you?
it's good.
Would you? Uh, I asked this same question to Chris and Chelsea. Would you, like you were just saying about not having Europe, but might help you next season? Would you rather Liverpool get Conference League or don't get Europe next season to help you for next season?
All right, there's two ways to look at that, because I know a lot of people make fun of the conference league. I'm not one of those people. Yeah, it's not the sexy competition, but you get to see what else is out there throughout Europe. That could help us transfer wise. It could also help us play a lot of our younger players. Because if we're giving players like we talked about earlier, Fabio Carvalho and Ramsey, but also players like Harvey Elliott, chances to play weekly, then great, because we need to do that. Because when it comes to the league, obviously you need to play Mo Salah over a Harvey
Yeah,
Elliott.
yeah, yeah,
But I think that definitely could help us in those two areas I just mentioned.
yeah,
But also, I would rather put 100% focus on the league,
yeah.
because in the end, I mean, this is me personally. I know that a lot of people have different opinions on this. I would much rather win the league than the Champions League, because yes,
Oh yeah,
Champions League, it is the best in Europe, but you also need to be the best in your league.
yeah,
So you definitely need to hit that first and then go for the
yeah,
Champions League. That's how I think about it.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I like I said, that there's two schools of thought for me for it. I'm cool with either one, but if I had to personally choose one for us, I would much rather focus on the league.
So to close off, we're currently in the January transfer window. We've got a few days left. Where do you think Klopp could a player he could bring in, maybe help you out for the last few months of the season, and maybe help you maybe jump into Europe?
Realistically, we have no shot at bringing anyone in. Um, I don't think we have the money currently to do so, based on us signing Gakpo and Darwin Nunez, both attackers, by the way, when we need a midfielder. Uh, but it say we did, or even a loan, Saicedo would be solid if we are paying a fee. For
Mm,
a loan, and with how things are going currently for Juve, Weston McKennie. That is
Yeah.
not me being American. That is me just knowing what the guy has to offer at a
You know
club
how much
level.
I rate him as well, I think.
Yeah, I think that because I mean personally for the U.S. national team, I don't think the team works without him.
Mm.
Same with Tyler Adams or even a Yunus Musa. If we could get Yunus Musa, that would be amazing because I know that he actually is on our short list.
Yeah.
But if we could get a Weston McKennie on loan or find the money to get a Saicedo, that'd be great. I definitely think the loan option for a player is much more realistic. And like I said, with what's going on with Juve, that is a very easy
Yeah.
target right now.
I think on the
Very
money,
easy.
I think on the money situation, you're a very similar situation with us as well, because we're both up for sale, United and Liverpool, and
Mhm.
that's why we got a signing in, two signings on a loan and on a backup goalkeeper and a backup striker because they're not putting money into the club because they're about to
The
sell it.
the
Um,
difference between those two sales though is they are full on trying to sell the club with you
yeah,
guys. We're
you're
looking for
just
an investor.
yeah,
So, which they already said they're gonna give Klopp money no matter what in the summer. It's
yeah,
just they do that, and we aren't gonna see money for a little while again because we haven't. When we sign players, it is based on us selling players. We have to
yeah,
sell players to sign players at Liverpool, and that is what has happened because the Luis Suarez sale allowed us to sign how many players?
yeah.
Like that's what we have to do.
And
Um,
it says it all this week with like Chelsea spending billions on everyone. Uh,
basically, but I mean, the
you spent
Chelsea
in
on the face of it, they are blowing a lot of
yeah,
money, but they're doing it in installments, which
yeah,
is a
but
smart way about doing things.
it still says it though. Like in 10 years, you've spent the same amount as they've spent in the
This
last
year.
six months, which is mental. Thanks for coming on, Gormy.
Absolutely, bud.
Where can we find you?
At Y Gormy on Twitter and here on YouTube.
Yep. And you know where you can find me at the Football Nation, at Road to Legends, and at Johnno.tv on Twitter. Massive thank you for Gormy for coming on. Great episode again. Make sure you check us out next week, where we have another guest on. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, turn that button so you never miss an upload. This has been the Football Nation, your home for all things football.